Congratulations, first and foremost, for the birth of your little one.
Man. Thanks. Yeah, she's healthy. She's good. Yeah, my partner's dope. So I slept like 8 hours last night because she knows like the only thing I can do right now. I mean, anybody who's had a child, all you can do is clean the house, keep them company, clean the diapers. That's it. Like in the nighttime, like when she wakes up to feed, I'm a spectator, right? So Steph's she's been letting me sleep through the night. I tried to go to bed last, so it's like one last long sleep for her. But yeah, we've been good, man. Like everything's good, everybody's healthy. So appreciate the shout.
Good, man. No, that's nice to see. What was your take on the managerial news for Man United today with lots of heavy links to Tuchel, and then it was off?
So I'm pretty calm on the whole situation because basically the way we've seen it is I don't think we've had leaks. I think there's been reports that have been actual things that have happened. So when we said we were going to do a review, that's what we said we were going to do. And then when that fake leak came out saying Erik ten Hag was done right after, it didn't happen, right? And everyone's like, oh, it's only because he won. Maybe, I don't know. But like they'd always said they were going to do this long review. This was like something that was briefed. So this is where it's like people, obviously we always say it, you got to be able to block out rivals and all the nonsense and actually see what's going on. Tuchel, for me, I always thought was going to be high up on the list just because of his pedigree. Now, here's the deal. If they're doing a review, if they're doing an interview process, then I have to assume they're doing an interview process that's a fair process where they're actually interviewing these managers and they're actually asking them, what their plans would be with the club and how they would work together. It is interesting to see that Tuchel, apparently he wanted United for so long and then he rejected us. Maybe he did. He probably did. I don't know. Maybe they had a conversation. And this is the thing with rejection. People look at it so it's like they want to banter. It's like it may not have been rejection. It may have been two parties sitting down and being like, we're just not the right fit for each other. Like Tuchel probably was looking at the job saying, I would love to manage United. And then they sat with him and they're like, we'd love you too. But
I mean, it could have been Man United offered him something and he went, I'm rejecting what they're offering as opposed to Man United overall.
Exactly.
I'm very thick-skinned. I'm happy for that to be called rejection.
That's
I'm
fine.
happy for that to be
it's
called,
cool.
But it's when it's the thing I love about rivals is they'll say rejection, and then when that happens to when it happens to them with a player, they'll give you all the spill as to why it isn't.
Could have been. And yesterday on Dom's show, like Hussam show, I said straight up like I actually thought Tuchel would be the choice because of pedigree. That's what I thought. I thought until today, like I had no information, nothing. I was just like, my feeling is we'll probably hire Tuchel. Now that that's gone, Staffy said something pretty interesting that I agree with. Again, we read the tea leaves. There's 2 potential managers left. We are clearly now, it's no longer speculation. We are interviewing other managers. It's no longer speculation. So that's clearly happening. Whether or not we're doing it, and this is where people get messed up and they're like, oh, well, then you're showing Erik ten Hag you have no faith. No, we're showing Erik ten Hag we're doing exactly what we said we were going to do. We're going to review and see if there's better options, and if there are better options, you're gone. That's it. And now I think De Zerbi is probably the leader at this stage if we're getting rid of Erik ten Hag. Southgate obviously is probably being interviewed. But if the rumors are true that we're trying to get a manager next week, then I don't know how he becomes the manager. I think rivals would love it, but it's harder for me to believe that Southgate's going to be the guy just based on timing.
Listen, that's always been my biggest issue with the Southgate. If I park my own subjectivity and subjective feeling towards him, it was a case of I can't imagine us starting the first 2 weeks of a pre-season in this rebuild with no manager. That's the bit that stood to me. But I love what you said there, and this is wood for the trees. And like me and Staffy had not a big fight, but we had a debate about this on Straight Facts on Friday, where he sort of said if they bring in Southgate, essentially if things happen he doesn't like, he's gonna switch off. He's gonna switch off from it. He's not gonna be supportive per se. And I get that take and I get that train of thought.
A lot of people are saying that. Neeks, Danny, a bunch of people are saying that.
Yeah. And loads of people are saying it. And from my point of view, I actually see it the other way. I've got what I wanted for the first time in a decade. I'm going to wait to taste the fruit.
Yeah.
So that means you've got to give it time to grow and to ripen before I judge it. What I think is really interesting is when you listen to a lot of managers speak. I remember Big Sam saying this. Don't believe him personally, but the logic's there. That he reckons if he was given Real Madrid, he could make them play nice football and he would win, because the only reason he plays his brand of football is because of what he's got, to the budget he's got, and he's got to try and keep a team in the league. And there is an element of truth to that, in my opinion. I think what then happened with the new breed of managers, they've just gone, you know what, we're going to play the brand of football we like, whether we get relegated or not. And it was a new way of skinning the cat. And the reason I'm saying that is because Man United obviously want to play a certain way. And the list of managers we were linked to, when we look at it as fans, it's a case of, well, Tuchel's nothing like De Zerbi and Thomas Frank is nothing like Gareth Southgate. So why are we looking at all these managers? And there may have been others on the list as well. Well, maybe Man United to say these are the managers that have said via their agents, we are interested if you've got a vacancy. Yeah. So Man United are saying, right, well, this is what we want. Tell us how you make us achieve that. Yeah. Like a normal job.
I truly believe so. This is what I think.
And that could be it.
I think they sat down with a Tuchel and said, hey, here's our structure. Here's how we want to move forward. We like your CV. Can you work under these circumstances? What is your plan? How would you work? And somewhere in those conversations, both sides, probably Tuchel, because we know he was like, this isn't right for me. Although, like, the allure of even getting the interview or the opportunity was there, so I'm going to take it. So that's exactly it. I think a job opening is there, has been like, they know it's there. They want to be interviewed. They want to go through the process, and they're all doing that. I think if we hire Southgate, and this is where I've been playing devil's advocate, because I have the advantage here of not being British. So I don't have the not being English. Sorry, shouldn't say British because England's the main problem. I don't have the advantage of not being English in this situation where I don't have the same distaste in my mouth for him because I don't watch him nearly as much. I don't like, as much as I always root for England, you know this, it's mainly because I think they have a great team and a lot of players I like. It's not like I have this love bound to the country and I get so upset that somebody's ruining my style and like not taking chances. I look at it very objectively with Southgate. If Southgate comes in, if he does, and I'm not saying this, I just want people to understand, I'm not saying I want Southgate. None of these managers I actually want. I want to make it clear. I'm just happy that we're doing things the right way if we do it the right way. If Southgate comes in, that means what we were saying is probably true, where it's, we want a manager who we're going to say, hey, you're going to play this style of football. You're going to do X, Y, and Z. This is our structure. We will work with you. We will grow together. And that's what they're looking for. And that means Southgate would have gone into the interview saying, I only play my style of football because I think it wins tournaments and I think it suits what England has, but I will switch up for you guys. That is me saying what I think would go down in an interview.
I agree with you. And obviously from people that just want to pick low hanging fruit and I get the banter that comes with Southgate.
I get it too.
And I have the worries that come with him. At the same time, Lawler said it on Straight Facts. What if Southgate is the best option you have under the new structure? So maybe you have spoke to better managers, but they have said don't want to work under that structure. Because I think a lot of managers were attracted to Man United in the last decade, because I still think a lot of I'm going to call them all what they really are, head coaches, believe that they can actually run an entire football club. And I think once they come in, they realize, shit, because none of them leave and then go and do it again anywhere else. I think there was almost this sort of arrogance of I could run a football club.
Jose kind of gets that still.
Yeah, but he hasn't had a big job since.
Done it well.
Again, Fenerbahce are a big club historically, but in terms of where Turkish football sits in the pecking order now, it's much lower down. Roma, big teams, but not the giants. And I think for me, I like this interview process. Doesn't mean I'm going to get, and this is why I love it. Rivals will call it copium and just say, and whatever else. Fine, say that. I understand it. But from my point of view, I'm just not showing my ass. I'm going to wait and see the fruits of this labor and understand it. Try and understand it when we get to the end of a season, end of 2 seasons. Why did we have to go for Southgate? What was the reason for bringing him in?
Because imagine
maybe the club, and it's really interesting about your perspective of the club. So what I see from a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people that are like, if Southgate comes in, I'm switched off from it, is a lot of those people are the individuals that just felt sticking with or sacking the manager, so Ollie in, Ollie out, Jose in, Jose out, was going to fix the club. I feel like the people that realize the problems are so much deeper seem to be a little more patient with whoever comes in, whether they're getting their choice or not, because they understand this is about knocking everything down to its bare bones and building up again. And a lot of people don't want to do that job. Not at Man United, because it is almost, you look at all the candidates we're linked to, Southgate's the one that most people don't want. But whether it was Tuchel, it's probably not going to be now. Whether it's De Zerbi, whether it's Thomas Frank, even if it was someone like Diego Simeone, there would still be a fairly big percentage of fans angry. There is no outright candidate that we could get where everybody says he's the guy, probably barring Zidane, and he doesn't want to come to England. So this was always going to happen to a certain degree. Southgate is just the worst case scenario, but as I say, I am going to trust the football
reason everybody says
Southgate's
the worst case scenario, and this is a fair reason. Again, I am not going to say anybody's wrong for this. Is that they don't believe he would be able to get us playing the football that we expect.
That's true.
Outside of that, I've not heard any other reasons, because you don't really like at the end of the day, people flip flop on a lot of things, but you can't say his record in big tournaments. Like, he's made it to what, 2 finals now, was it, or a semifinal and a final? Like, at the end of the day, like, I get he didn't win those, and everyone says, oh, well, if he played differently, he would have. You don't know that, right? And it's, at the end of the day, he set the team up to get them to those places. So when it comes to results, I always find it hilarious when people try and say, well, results with Southgate. I'm like, you can't say anything about results. He's done the second best he could potentially do in some of these tournaments. And then I think, and they're like, well, look at the squad. I've seen great Brazil squads not win anything. It's just, you can't use that part. The style of play, I fully get it, and I understand all the anxiety. Makes perfect sense that people are worried about that. We cannot say favoritism at this side, because his English squad right now, I look at and I'm like, I don't know why he brought some of these guys. I'm sitting there struggling. So it's like, there's those elements go out the window. That's just hate. It's style of play, and I get that. So if he comes in and he decides to somehow learn how to play a different style, then I'm good. And I'm doing the same thing as you. I'm not coming out here saying manager out, and then all of a sudden he succeeds and I look like an idiot. Worse. Like, I'd rather just see what happens.
I just feel that listen, everyone's entitled to an opinion. That's what the football terrace exists for, and I will never change that. But at the same time, I've got what I wanted. I've got to give it time.
Yeah, structure.
And that it's the structure, which I think is more important in building. And it's one of those things. Maybe there were 2 or 3 candidates that the club wanted above Southgate, but when they've done this interview process and said, well, these are really key components, maybe the answers they've given have not been great. I mean, Roberto Martinez got the Everton job when Moyes left, because he was the only person that came into the interview room, and instead of saying, this is my plan to stop you from being relegated, he said, this is my plan that's going to get you into the Champions League. He went in the other direction to what all the other managers did. You might find that 2 or 3 candidates have turned up and just said things where the board have gone, fuck that. Because you don't know until you meet them and you have those conversations. And I would much rather us pick managers based on the criteria we want, as opposed to the name and what we as fans think, because we don't know enough, because we're not internal. You know what I'm saying? So